welcome to the Leverage Show. This is Brett Ingram, and I've got my trusty Boston Celtics mug here with me today. What's great is, I'm a big Red Sox, Celtics, and Patriots fan. The mug here is looking a little bit worse for the wear. I've got my green tea, but the decal's starting to peel off and everything else, and so I'm gonna have to probably invest in a couple of new mugs. So today, what I want to talk about is the biggest secret in building your business to any size that you want it to be. There's a lot of different ideas in terms of how do you grow your business from wherever you are now, whether you're already doing well or whether you're struggling, and how do you get to the point where you want it to be. So whatever that is for you. If you just are trying to make enough money to survive, that's great. If you want to make, build an empire and, rule the world, that's great too. But no matter what industry you're in, no matter what business you're in, and no matter where you are right now, there's a very specific thing that you can do that will unlock unlimited growth for you, depending on how large you want to grow it. So I want to talk about what that is today, and then we're going to start to talk about how you can actually do that in your business. So how do you grow your business? What should you focus on and prioritize? One of the challenges is trying to decide exactly that. It's a little bit confusing. Do I try to get new customers over here? Do I launch new products? Do I expand my business line? Do I focus just on what I'm doing? How do I get to a point where I know exactly what I need to do? I'm happy to do it, but I don't even know what to do to grow it. Well, here's the secret. And if you remember this will take you a long way in any business that you ever have or ever run. And that is to start to think like an investor instead of a manager. Most business owners and entrepreneurs that are working on their business and in their business every day, they're focused on management. Okay, so a manager thinks about, what needs to get done. What are the tasks that need to be completed today in order to get us to where we need to be? Orders to ship, customer calls to answer, support requests to reply to. Believe me, that's all really important. You obviously have to take care of your business, but that isn't the way to grow it. That's just the way to sort of maintain it and keep it running. Okay, so there's a difference. So managers tend to be very task oriented. It tends to be more about the now, more about the, what is it that we need to get done in order to get to our next step or get to where we need to be. And so again, it's tactical. So it's mostly sort of like what I like to call the head down approach. You're unaware of the outside world. You don't really have a lot of focus or care about that stuff. I mean, when I had my brick and mortar business, I can tell you that I was so busy just running around trying to get all the day-to-day stuff done. I couldn't care. I mean, the sky could be falling outside. A gigantic competitor could have moved in right next door to us. I wouldn't have even known because I was so busy and I didn't even think that stuff mattered. I mean, sure, strategically, I'd love to get there someday, but I there's no way. I wasn't even thinking about that. I didn't care about that. And you tend to be attached because you're so ingrained in what is going on in the day-to-day operations of your business that you're very attached to it. So that makes you subjective. It makes your perspective skewed. It's very difficult to sort of stand back. I don't know if you ever saw the show American Idol. Once in a while, they'd have a contestant on there, especially in the early years, not so much near the end here, but in the early years, they would have these contestants go on there, and some of them were just downright terrible. And some of them, I think, just went on there as a joke or whatever else. But every once in a while, you'd get this person on there that couldn't sing a lick. I'm a terrible singer, but I could sing better than they could. And they would sing, and their parent is sitting there, and then they're stunned when they don't get the ticket because they think their kid is great. So then they call the mom or the dad in, and they're like, well, what were you thinking, blah, blah, blah. They can't carry a tune, like they're no good. and everything else. And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I've had them in voice lessons for 7 years. They've got the best voice of anybody I know. The parents love their kids so much, and they're so attached that they're subjective. They can't objectively listen. When you hear someone who could really sing and you hear their kid, they're polar opposites. They couldn't be more different. But in their mind, it's exactly the same. And that's because they're attached to subjective. So it's a dangerous place to be for your business also, for the exact same reason. You can start to believe things that aren't true just because you're close to it. And that's not really the place that you want to be when it comes to running your business. Now, let's flip the coin a little bit and let's start talking about what an investor does, how an investor thinks, because this is really how you go from where you are to where you want to be. An investor, and you might think it's cutthroat, but an investor thinks right off the bat, how much can we make with this? How much is this venture going to be worth to us? So if I have this particular business and I'm going to invest in it, I want to know, like, what's my return on investment? If they're doing 100,000 in sales or whatever it is, and I know that the limit in my mind is 200,000, that's the cap of the market, I'm not really interested in investing anything. Now, if they're doing 100,000 and I see that it's a $3 billion industry, they've got a unique product, they've got a unique, now you're talking. Now that's something that's really interesting because there's a ton of upside. So the first question is, how much can we make? Like, where can we go with this? The second thing as an investor is they're dialed in to industry statistics and competitors. They know the playing field they're playing in really well. So no matter what business line you're in, no matter what vertical that you play in, you need to know who your competitors are. You need to know who the people are that are trying to do the same thing and reach the same customers and offer the same products that you are. Now, you might think yours is better or you hate them or whatever, and that's fine, but you still have to be aware because that's how you get a picture of the entire market and decide how we could carve this up and how much of it you can realistically get. So knowing industry statistics and competitors. Now, before you say, wait, this is way too much work, there's no way I can do this, just bear with me. Let's go through the process. We'll talk about how to get there after. Because I understand if you're overwhelmed and you're overworked, there's no way you're going to tack this stuff on top of it all. And I've been there, so I totally get that stuff. They're financials oriented. So as much as, the brand and the touchy-feely stuff and all of that is great, at the end of the day, they're financials oriented because they know it's about money, it's about progress, it's about profit. And the only way that you can create that stuff is by being financials oriented. They're thinking about, how do we increase margins? What can we do with our existing product line to make more money on every sale? Can we charge a higher price? Can we bundle something to get more out of it? Can we offer a subscription where it automatically renews? Anything to increase margins. They look at cutting expenses. What can we automate? What can we simplify? What can we outsource? Again, if you're sort of a, pro worker, mentality and you don't want to offshore jobs, I totally understand that. This is not a lesson in morality. This is just a lesson in how to grow your business. And you have to choose what the right moves are for your company and for your business. But the fact of the matter is, you've got to find ways to keep expenses low. Because if your competitor keeps expenses low and you don't, they can cut their prices also, and you'll never be able to get down to them because of the fact that their expense structure is lower. How to get more customers. I mean, that's always a big one. If you come in as an investor in any company, the first thing you want to know is, other than the pure financials, is how do we get more customers? Do we have an attractive value proposition? We can bring people in the door here. How do we increase the purchase size and the frequency? How do we get people to buy more often? Those are all things that investors think about. Now, in terms of the product and service line, you're talking about horizontal and vertical integration. Could we add more stuff wide, or could we go deeper in what we're doing? So if we're selling widgets, is there a way that we could also manufacture them instead of wholesaling them? Or is there a way that we could distribute them to end users instead of just to, business to business middlemen? Look for ways where you can get vertically and horizontally grown. If you're selling, shavers, can you also sell shaving cream and aftershave and balm and, maybe toothpaste, and start to get into more and more stuff? But, you just start to think in terms of where the ceiling is for all this and where you want this thing to go. So the bottom line with the investor mentality is that it's strategic. It's heads up. It's looking for opportunities and threats. It's recognizing that the guy that just moved in next door to you is a competitor. It's realizing that your biggest competitor just launched a new campaign where they're, attacking their competitors, or they're dropping their prices, or they're cutting their margins, or whatever it is. It's being aware of those things. Because again, you don't have to play copycat, but you have to be aware. Because if you're not aware, that's how you get hit over the head in the middle of the night without looking, and you wake up tomorrow with no business. All right. And so looking at all of those things are really important. And so as a result, they tend to be more detached and objective. They can be fair and they can be honest. They can look back and say something and take their emotion out of it and say, look, this business, for whatever we like about it, these are the problems that it has. These are the opportunities and the strengths that it has. They can be objective about that and detached about that. And so then when they go to make decisions and they consider alternatives, they're going to do it in a way that makes a lot of sense, because it's based on logic, it's based on facts, and it's based on statistics, and it's not based on emotion. A lot of times entrepreneurs, especially when we're starting a new venture, we're all gung-ho and it's all emotion, it's all passion, and it's all, I'm going to outwork everybody else. But at the end of the day, there does come a point where that adrenaline starts to wear off, where there are obstacles that creep up, where there are challenges you need to overcome. And this is not just for companies that are struggling. If you're doing well, chances are people are noticing that. And you never know how long it's going to be till someone else tries to jump in your market space and take your business from you. And so again, that's the benefit of being able to look at that. So here's the $1 million or maybe $1 billion question for you. In light of all that, if you were not involved in your business and you were an outside investor that came in to look at it, would you invest in your own business? Really? Would you literally take money out of your pocket, however many thousands of dollars, and plunk it down on the table and say, I want to buy a share in this business so it can grow? Because that's really what it comes down to. Now, if you say no to that, you've got to make some changes. You've got to fix some things and you've got to improve them. If you say yes to that, fantastic, because you're already on the right track. But for most people, the answer is no. And the fact is, there's more than just even the self-preservation and profit motive to want to build it to that way. Look, you may come to a day where you want to retire, or you want to buy another business, or start another business, or do another venture, or go off and do whatever it is you want to do. And maybe you want to detach yourself from the business you're in, and you want to be able to cash out and make money for all the work that you've put in and what you've built. Well, I can tell you that if you lack structure, if you lack, a strategic outlook, if you lack a lot of these things that investors look for, even if you're lucky enough to sell your business, you're going to get pennies on the dollar for what you would be able to get for it. If you have all of this stuff in place and your business is one that you would invest in because the processes are good and and you have all this market intel and you know exactly where you're going and you're maximizing your profit and you're going to make your business so valuable and you're going to be so impressive to anybody that you're trying to sell it to. You're going to know the value of what your business is worth, and you're also a lot more likely to get closer to the full value for it. So it's going to be much easier to be able to cash out. Whereas if you're so invested in your business that it takes your right arm to help these people do this, your left arm to do that, your left eyeball to check on that, your right eyeball to do that, your left leg to do this. If you're so integral to your business and you're so in the trenches every single day, then you are irreplaceable. Your business is at a point where it's uninvestable because you are the asset and not your business. You are the thing that's valuable. And so, look, pat yourself on the back because the fact that you've been able to do that is great. But now it's time to start thinking like an investor and starting to detach yourself from all that and get to a point where you can actually build your business to a place where people would want to invest in it. So that is the way that the fastest, foolproof way to absolutely grow your business to any size that you want it to go. We're going to talk next time about how to actually get there. So if you're not there now and you want to get to a point where, hey, okay, what steps do I take? That's going to be on the next episode. So a little cliffhanger there for you to keep you tuning in. So if you have any questions, comments, as always, submit them to us, leverigeshow.com. And, until then, make it happen.